Hi everyone, here we are with the second part of the parametric facade, the Zahner Factory. So in this part we are going to add the spiders that are connecting these panels along the facade. So let's jump in. First of all, I want to mention that of course if you want to model each of these spiders individually and add it to the facade, to the structure, it is really very time consuming and it would be very difficult. But there is also another solution that is more simple, but it needs some techniques. But we have also used this technique on the panels before, and we are using almost the same technique for the spiders. So let's go in Cinema 4D and begin. So here we are from the last part. What we have done so far are these panels and the facade and assigning the temporary materials and so on. So for now I'm going to hide the building and of course the panels. And here, not panels, I'm going just to deactivate the cloner so I have access to the panel polygons. So here I have modeled two spiders. One is in open mode, in open condition, and the other one is in closed condition. So what I'm going to do now is to morph between these two and creating a transition between the closed condition and the open condition. So first of all, I'm going to try the same method, the same strategy I used for the panels. What we have done for the panels is that we assigned the pose move tag on the panel, and we assigned the cloner, and in morph deformer we have defined a fall off, and the fall off is a shader field, and the shader field, what we have done is we have in the shader here, if I can show you in the field, we have assigned a noise, and then we manage the noise on the cloner that we have here, and the result was the parametric panels. So we do this the same way for the spiders, but it is really important that the spiders are in the correct position to the panels, because we are using the same shader on the pad that we have used on the panel on the spiders and as well. And if the spiders are not positioned in the right position, then it can vary between the how the spider's condition looks at the end, and it may not be compatible with the panels and with the form of the panels. And that's of course the thing that we don't want. So it's really important to have them in the correct position. So for that I'm going to first recoordinate these two to the bottom line. As you see in this picture, there are some rows of these panels, of these spiders, and they are so positioned that at the bottom of the window we have one, in the middle of window we have one, and at the top of window, each window we have one spider. So we should assign these positions along the panels exactly as we have here. So for that I'm going to drag these panels. I'm going to first deactivate the subdivision surface. I'm going to drag these down. So this is where our first spider is positioned, and the other I would put them in a cloner so that they are stacked linearly to the top with the exact size that I define later. So for now I'm going to position this here, and now I want the distance between each spiders. So how do I get that? I don't know, of course, how much the distance is, but I know that the position of the spiders are like bottom, middle, and top of each window. So I'm going to temporarily activate the building, and here I'm going to press S. Okay. So what I'm going to need is the size of each window here. For that, I'm going to tool, measure, and I'm going to activate the snap. And now I'm clicking here in the bottom of the window, and I'm dragging the other point of the measure tool to the top of the window, exactly where it is. So the distance is shown here, so 416 to 417. So this is the size of each window panel. So it's okay, that's what we wanted. So I'm going to close this one. I'm going to, where was it? The spiders, click S to focus on the spiders. And now I'm going to create a cloner. So MoGraph cloner, and I name it cloner spider row. Okay, now I'm assigning this closed one to the cloner. Oh, before that, I just forgot some important thing. First, I'm going to select the both spiders. Now you see that our axis center is positioned here, but we have to reposition the axis center to our 0, 0, 0 position here, so that the position of the spiders in relation with the axis center is the same as the panel. If I show you the panel, when I click it, the axis center is exactly in 0, 0, 0 position. So I have to do that the same for these two spiders as well. So I'm activating the axis, and I'm going to zero out these values. Enter. So now they're all in the same position. The axis center of the spiders and the panels is in the same coordinates. So now I'm going out from the axis. I'm now assigning the spiders closed one, and now you see we have our three spiders, because this is the default value for the cloner. So for the distance between each, we have 416.667 divided through 2 is 208, and this is exactly the size of this between the first and the third is the size of the window, but because we have one also in the middle of the window, so I had to divide it through 2. So now it's correct. So let's see how many we need. I think we need just 8 or 9, 10 maybe. Yeah, 10. I think 10 would be enough. But something that I have seen before, that this count of spiders would slow the system down so much. So to prevent this to happen, I'm temporarily going to add values here as I'm going to increase the distance to 416.77667 to have the number of the spiders, but it's temporary. At the end, when everything is okay, I'm just going to divide this value to 2 to get the final distance that we wanted. So now the spiders are in the correct position. What we need is these panels We want, as you see, the subdivisions here are not aligned with the position of the spiders. It's very important to align them, because if you do not align them, the noise would affect these panels, so that it will affect where exactly the subdivisions are. So we need, of course, more subdivision and precise subdivision. So for that manner, I'm going to temporarily delete this tag, because we will do that again. Fresh new one later. So, and now I'm going to first, okay, I'm going to no, not this one. I'm going to deactivate the open spider. We don't need it for now. So let's begin to align these spiders, these panels subdivisions. So I'm going to use UL in line mode, select it. Okay, and drag it up. Okay, something is not correct. Let me see what's not correct here. I'm going back to the state where we had these morph tag, pose morph tag. Oh, okay. No, because in here we have defined, we doubled the size, the distance between the spiders, but then we should also, when we double the distance, we should have the count. That's what I haven't forgot to do. 5, okay, 5 is okay. Now I'm going to delete the tag. Now I have the panel. UL. I'm going to align the position of the subdivision exactly to the where the spiders are. So okay, next one, UL. Drag it down. Oh, and first thing first, we need to close or deactivate this snap, because we don't want to snap to anywhere. So next one, UL. So here we need look cut here, and here as well. Okay, but of course these, now the subdivision are aligned, but they are not enough. For more smoothness of the panels, I'm going to add more subdivision in the middle, so like this. And I'm going to center them. I think now it's enough, it's good enough. So now we have to define the pose morph tag again. First I'm going to drag this down. Okay, and I'm selecting these points. And give it value 30 or 35. 30 is enough. 35 is good work also. And I'm going to select the top positions, the top points, and the bottom one. I'm going to, okay, they're okay first. Now that we have selected the top and the bottom points, I'm going to character tag and add a pose morph tag. So like before, I'm going to modify points, Now I'm going to scale it a bit up, not much, just a little bit, and I'm going to front view and rectangle tool, selecting the front points and give it a value 450. 500 could also work, so it's not so important at all. So now if I come to pose move tag, I play with the strength. You say that I'm switching between these two forms that we had. One is enclosed and the other one is opened. So it's done now. I'm going from edit mode to animate mode. And now I'm going to morph here. And let me first rename this morph panel, because we are going to use another morph for the spiders, so we don't mix them up. So now, morph panel, I'm coming to the object and assigning the tag that we recently created to the morph here. And you see, as we drag it down here in a pose morph, because the field is activated, the shader field is activated as a noise, it will take effect immediately. So, and later on, when we use the smooth subdivision surface, we have a smooth panels. Okay, for now I'm going to deactivate it. So now that the spiders are in the correct position, we need to do the same thing that we done for the panel for the spiders as well. So for that matter, I'm going to spiders, the closed one. I'm going to assign a pose move tag, and same as before, I'm going to modify the points. But here, instead of a copy of the same condition, I'm going to delete it. I'm assigning the open condition instead. So I'm assigning it here, no. So now you see I have from open to the closed condition, as you see here. So now I can just hide this one. Don't need it anymore. And we are going from edit mode again to animate mode. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a morph deformer. And as I mentioned before, for the morph deformer to affect this cloner, we need to put them in the same hierarchy or as a child of the cloner. I would prefer to use the null and put these two as the child of the null. I name it spiders. And here I'm going to rename it to morph spider and assign here in the object, assign the spider pose morph tag. So, and now because we want to use the same noise that we use for the panels on the spiders as well, I have to come to follow and just need to drag this shader field in the shader tab. So it's copying the noise, everything that we have defined before on the spiders as well. And it has its own benefits, because when we later want to change any form for any form, or we want to deform the panels, or for example say we don't like how the panel looks and want to change them, we just need to change this noise here in the shader, and this will take effect on everything, on the panels, on the spiders. We just modifying the parameter in the shader field, we can modify everything that are related to this shader field. So now I'm going to activate the building again and also the cloner. And as you see here, we have our what we had before, yes. And I can also turn on the subdivision surface so that to smooth this out. And now we need to assign the spiders. So what we have done so far is creating the spiders, the row of each spider. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so in vertically. Okay. Now I have to assign them in our facet, and for that matter, what I'm going to use is to use the same. I'm going to delete this one. I don't need it anymore. I'm going to use the same spline that I've used for the panels. I'm using it for this new cloner that I want to use for the spiders. So I'm going to create the cloner. I'm going to drag it down to our hierarchy and assign this time the cloner spider row. So I'm going to name it spider column. Okay, and now here what we need the mode from linear to the object, and our object of course is the cloner spline. So but what we need here is not the count distribution, but we need the vertex contribution. So on each vertex of the spline, we assign one row, one column of these spiders, as you see here, yes? But as you see here, the position is not correct. It is the opposite side. So I'm just going to transform and rotate it 180 degrees. As you see, it takes a bit time because it's not heavy. But what we have done so far, that's interesting, with just that I've managed the same. So let me close the panel cloner temporary. As you see here, I have used the same noise that I have used for the panels to assign exactly these spiders on our facet. So simply as that. So that can spare us so much time and so much effort. So now I'm turning on the cloner, okay, and you see that they are corresponding perfectly to each other. But maybe some are not exactly correct, as you see here, but it can be corrected. What we need here, we need to define the size and the position of each spiders. This had happened because maybe of my mistake in modeling, or this is normal when something like this happens. I'm doing good just to correct that. I'm going to scale it down a bit. Let's see how it looks like. It takes a bit time. I can, of course, what I'm going to do, I'm going to first set this count to 1. Okay, now we have just the bottom row. Now that the count are okay, now it's faster because I've turned off so many spiders. I have just the bottom row. So now I'm going to define this transformation so that it matches perfectly. So okay, 0.98 is not enough. 0.95 maybe is better. 0.4. Okay, I think it's good enough. Now it's okay. The size are okay. So, and now what I'm going to do is to bring it back to 5. So now we see 5 of these spiders in each column. So everything is in the right position as you wanted. So as this the panels is not thick enough, so when it's thick, the spider will be more open, and when we are done, the spiders will be closed. So that is done. So now we are done with this part as well. And for the next part, what I'm going to do is to give the right material and render this out in Redshift. I hope you liked this tutorial and found it useful, and if so, don't forget to like the tutorial and comment me down the opinion, and follow us in the next part, the last part, that we are going to finish this tutorial. And have a good time.